Hello, geeks and gamers, and welcome to a very special editorial. This is our Star Wars: The Force Awakens spoiler review. Now, much in the vein of Collider movie talk, this video is designated for those who either A, have already seen the movie, and if you haven't seen the movie, what are you waiting for? Go out and see it.
What is wrong with you?
Or B, you really don't care about spoilers.
Which in what case, I was going to say you don't care about Star Wars. I was going to say, what's wrong with you?
There are two types of people in this world. Those who love Star Wars and those who are wrong.
Yep. I was going to say, what is, in the vein of Nigel Powers, there's two things in this world that I can't stand. People who are intolerant of other people's taste in movies, and people who hate Star Wars.
Yes.
Okay.
I am Mike K, your resident movie critic on geeksandgamers.com, and this is my co-host Brock.
Nice to see you, everyone. I got home late. I don't know how far Mike had to drive.
I didn't have to drive that far, luckily, but my friends and I had a whole day planned out for Star Wars.
Yeah, we did too. I'll post a little. I'll put up a picture of the line. We have like a mini mall on the outskirts of Wausau, a bigger town far from me, and it's kind of shaped like a boomerang, where it's this widespread out V. And there's a Culver's on the opposite end of the parking lot. So we were gonna go get our tickets and then head back to Culver's. And wait, and me and my buddy Matt walked across the parking lot. It was a group of 6 of us, and we're walking, and it's a good 50 yards away, and it's completely glass wall on the outside, and we could see the line starting to circle around the entire place, and it's like probably a football field in length each way.
Damn.
Like I called his brother Danny and everybody else. Oh, we're here. Matt's getting the tickets. If you want to see this movie tonight, I suggest you get here now.
How many screens are in your theater?
There is 12 or 14.
And how many of them were actually playing the movie?
All of them but one, which is playing Sisters.
That's not too far from mine. My friends and I, we started that day. We got some food at a local Chinese restaurant, and then our movie started at 7:00
Okay.
Eastern Standard Time, and we got there about 4:30. Luckily, I found myself more towards the front of the line, but there was like already starting to gain like a massive people. My theater has 14 screens, and there were five of them at least at that point, getting ready to screen The Force Awakens. There were two of them on the left and 3 screens on the right.
Yeah, there was a showing at. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So by 5 o'clock, all like two of the lines on the right side were completely full. By 5:30, we pretty much took over the entire theater. It was getting crazy. I wish I took pictures of the line.
Yeah, and to keep in perspective, I live in the center of Wisconsin, so I was in a town like a little with a couple probably I gotta think how big Wausau is. It's like 5. I'm going to be completely wrong. I will look up the population and I'll put it in the comments later. Mike lives in New York, so he had.
But I don't live in the city. I live in a suburb.
Okay, but
still, like for suburbia, for Star Wars, that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I had, like you said, waiting for food. We got there an hour and a half early, and we had a line, and it looked a lot worse because it circled around the L bend, or was starting to, but there was actually, my showing was at 7. so at 7:30, there was a line for the 2D showing at 7 o'clock, and then a line for the 3D showing at 7:30. And I wish I had taken more pictures too, because we had a good chunk of, we had a TIE fighter pilot that was there, a good chunk of Jedis. We had a guy that looked scarily like George Lucas there.
Oh.
That the beard and everything. If he just had a little bit of more of the curled hair, it would have been perfect. But we got in. It was pretty simple. I posted the picture on Facebook that I was playing the waiting game, waiting for the thing to start. And then I got a text by my cousin Nick, who lives in Wausau, and he's like, "I thought that was you up in the head of the line. I wasn't sure if I could see you or not." But yeah, and then we got done at like roughly 10:30. And I needed to work at 5 a.m. the next day. Wausau is an hour from here, and this is on the other side of Wausau from where I live. And we wanted to talk about the movie, obviously. And all my buddies are like, "Oh, let's go to Buffalo Wild Wings." I'm like, okay, this is going to take another hour. So I ended up getting home at like 12:30. It was a long night, but it was so worth it.
So like most of America, you got like no sleep because of Star Wars.
No, and my boss approached me because I was a little sluggish at work earlier, and but it picked up right there. He's like, "Are you feeling okay? You don't look good." I'm like, "I saw Star Wars last night." He's like, "You went and saw it in Wausau, didn't you?" "Yep." "That's all right, man. I understand." It was totally worth it.
Nice.
Yeah, it was great. He was. I'm definitely going to see it this weekend. If you're this happy you're in work, it was a good time. But you're the movie expert for everyone on Geeks and Gamers, so I will let you kick everything off.
All right. Well, first off, I already wrote a non-spoiler review for the site, and that link will be in the description if you want to check that out. But just my general impressions right now, I absolutely love the film. It's not perfect. It's not better than Empire Strikes Back, but just from like an emotional standpoint, as a Star Wars fan, I was completely satisfied. I loved pretty much all the characters. The story, well, yeah, it was very reminiscent of A New Hope. Like it still had enough of its own identity that made it easy enough to follow, and enough seeds have been planted for the future that I'm very much looking forward to seeing get developed. Now we'll talk later about our positives and negatives, what we liked, what we didn't like, but Brock, what about you? What are your general impressions?
I was very impressed. I believe that this is my second favorite Star Wars movie, with Empire being first. Adam Driver, this was the ongoing joke for like 2 weeks before this movie came out. Adam Driver came out, I don't remember what magazine it was for, but he comes out and he says, "In my honest opinion, this movie is better than the prequels." And someone put that in a news headline, and then they're like, "In other news, water is still wet and fire is still hot." Which I agreed. You obviously, there was some ties, but I believe they did that very, very, very much purposely to get you to get the feel of this is the old with a little bit of the new. And it was just, just general, there's very rare where you have good directors, but it's very rare when I'm sitting and watching a movie and I feel that the person cares for the subject matter like it's his child.
That's exactly how I felt with this movie.
Yeah, it was so. Oh, there's very little that I have to complain about this movie, but general impressions, it was very good. I was so happy, and I had lengthy conversations about everything. It was very good. And you guys, in case you didn't notice, me and Mike didn't say it up front, but for a little bit before we get into positive and negatives, we picked our 2 favorite characters from the movie for the lower thirds. Their new characters that they introduced were amazing.
Yeah. And to be honest, Um, these lower thirds only have one option.
Okay.
Kylo Ren is only one of my favorite characters.
Yep, same here.
You know what? Let's start with that. Let's start with my other favorite character, who's not in my lower third, Poe Dameron.
Yeah.
We don't get to see much of him, but the way Oscar Isaac plays this character, Oscar Isaac is a movie star in an era that kind of no longer celebrates movie stars. Now it's all about big franchises, but he just has that classic 70s era Harrison Ford like confidence and humor. And you know this movie is going to be great when in the opening scene, when he's taken by the First Order and his confrontation with Kylo Ren. You want me to say something first, or are you going to say something? Just that back and forth was just like, I knew I was going to love this the second I met you.
Yep. When I went into this movie, I didn't like other than Luke obviously and Han, other than just like bland pilot, I had a feeling I was gonna like Poe. In my opinion, I thought was the person I was going to like least out of this film, because they showed next to nothing about him in the trailers, and they made like a random character poster like 3 days before it came out. They're like, oh yeah, Poe Dameron, he's still in this movie. But I loved him. Holy crap. His overall space cowboy-esque personality of just loving what he gets to do every day with the Resistance was just great for new characters. But other favorite characters in this film, well, Daisy, not Daisy, Rey. Holy crap. Hold on, let's put this in perspective. Yeah.
This is not just like her first big blockbuster. This is her first big feature film, or this is just her first feature film, period.
Yeah. She knocked it out of the park. She's going to be such a good, she's going to be a shepherd in this franchise so well. But going on to, as far as characters who I liked coming back, of course, Han Solo's Han Solo.
Yeah.
But this is the best use of Chewie they've ever had in a maybe.
And he looks great too.
Yeah. And is it just me, or did Peter Mayhew, right?
Yeah.
He looked 2 more head and shoulders taller in this movie.
Yeah. I noticed that a little.
Looked extensively huge in this movie, and it was awesome. But it's just, man, everybody had their character nailed to a T. There was no unnecessarities and no fluctuations in characters that I saw, at least. But as far as characters go, I had very little to. There was nothing I had to complain about as far as characters and how they were set up.
And you know who we have to thank for that? The writer, Lawrence Kasdan. I also wrote retro reviews for the original trilogy, and I've gone to extensive lengths to just show my appreciation for Kasdan, who's written two of the best action / fantasy films: Raiders of the Lost Ark, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. And he's even coming back after this movie to write the Han Solo film, directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller.
Oh,
this guy is like a walking Star Wars encyclopedia.
Yes.
When he's involved in the movie, you know that you're getting pure Star Wars.
Oh yeah, it like I said, care for source material that just bleeded out of this movie like a sieve. Okay, but as far as, I think we could start going into general story of what we thought for the beats and everything like that. Just this movie, I don't know how it felt for you, but it throttled past me. I felt like I was in that theater for an hour, and
Yeah,
it shot.
I did not feel the length at all.
No, there was
when the movie ended, I'm like, wait, that's it? No, I want more. I want to stay for more.
Yeah, like the credits are rolling. Like, what the heck time is? It's been 2.5 hours. I swear I felt I was in line longer than I watched this movie.
Now, did you actually stay for the credits?
Yeah, I did, because I thought I was gonna get another John Harrison is actually Khan kind of thing when they said there was no after credits scene. So, but yeah, there was no credits.
And even if there like even if there wasn't one, I still just wanted to listen to John Williams music.
Yeah, and it was weird when they had the Fox distribution. They always had the searchlights going. They never showed anything, at least in my theater. They did not show a Disney logo and then just Lucasfilm. It was just Lucasfilm.
Yep, it's just like the Marvel films now.
I love that. It's just its own special little thing. And my theater exploded when that went off. And
oh, same. When as soon as the opening crawl started, the crowd went nuts.
Yeah, and the best way to start out that movie ever. They didn't show Luke at all, and now I know why.
Yeah,
because they couldn't. It literally starts the first line: Luke has disappeared. Really? This is my first time seeing a Star Wars movie in theaters. Also,
ever.
I did not get to see I'm trying to think. What year did Phantom Menace come out again?
That was 1999.
So I would have been 8, I believe. And the last one came out when I was Revenge of the Sith, I believe, came out when I was in middle school. So yeah. I wasn't too much into theater going unless it was something that I randomly caught on commercials when I was younger. I didn't get much into really watching movies a lot until I was like getting in my freshman year. So this kind of shot past me. Getting to see this was just, oh my gosh, the feeling that set in, starting right off with you seeing the First Order. I knew this movie was going to be amazing. When they're sitting there setting all up, you see BB-8 with the whole, you need to get the plans, obviously the little bit of a shout back and all that. But when Poe fires that shot and he's having a separate conversation and he just stasises the laser in midair, and then they're talking. He's not even looking at that laser shot anymore, and he's having a totally different conversation with stormtroopers and Poe, and that thing's just sitting there. He's still keeping in contact conversation, and they finally stop, and then oh, just great direction. J.J. Abrams, you are masterful.
Now, hang on. Let's talk about that power for a second. That came right out of nowhere. I have never seen anything like that before, where you can stop a laser like mid-shot.
Okay, now I was watching this movie in between two people that have played every and read every Star Wars book and game. So I was pretty much sitting in between, like, a couple tiers below Campea and Harloff while I'm watching this movie. So I'm like, they can do that? He's like, that's called force stasis. I'm like, oh, okay. And like, all right, yeah.
It just shows how powerful Kylo Ren, or as he was known as, Ben Solo.
Yes.
Yeah. Han Solo has Han Solo's the father.
Yes. And they didn't mention that not right away, I shouldn't say that, but as soon as they're like, we saw our son. Now, everyone, when we first saw this movie, thought that because they didn't mention Rey's last name, they didn't mention Finn's last name either, because he doesn't have one. now that we know that.
Yeah.
Rey's they didn't mention because I'm almost convinced, but it could be anything that she's a Skywalker because of her freak out scene with the lightsaber. That was great also, by the way, but the yes, them having a kid, they just have the one being, so they're cherry picking a little off of the Expanded Universe book, which we all kind of had a feeling that they were going to do when they all said they were non-canon. They basically just said, we're going to write our movies, source material, come here. We don't have to treat you exactly like how you were, but we're still going to love you. And speaking of, they explained that so well that they treated him, that they wanted him to be done right away. Han, first of all, didn't believe in the Force at first. So they sent them to train with Luke. And that went south, I guess, which we'll learn.
Probably in episode 8.
Episode 8. And they show how screwed up his childhood was. Just multiple times seeing him in that movie just take his lightsaber out on a command council.
Or that one freak out scene where he is like completely like wrecks that what was it he just tore up, like that one, like
in which scene? You gotta help me a little bit. I've only seen it once.
It's that scene where he goes into his big temper tantrum.
What did it happen after?
I can't remember exactly what.
Because the one right after he can't get any information from Rey, and he slices up the computer council, and then those two stormtroopers.
That's the one I was talking about.
It was a computer council.
My favorite reaction is the stormtroopers going. They just stop and just walk away.
Nope, man, I laughed till I cried when that happened. That was another plus for this movie. This is so much humor, but nothing felt forced.
All the humor comes from the characters, and again, that's another strength of Lawrence Kasdan.
Yeah,
he just knows how to write good characters.
Yes, and going into why I liked BB-8 so much. Holy mother of God. That scene, he was going from, I really like this character, to he's going to be my favorite droid and they're never going to make anything better, when they're like, I don't know where your base is, so we're going to help each other and you're going to tell Rey. And he thumbs up and he pops that lighter and gives him a thumbs up back. Oh my gosh, my head exploded. It's such a little moment, proved how cool and how much they thought into him. And then those
little touches were so good.
Yeah, and those little cables that tow cables that just shot up to bring him up. And, oh my man, so much thought into everything. Just I couldn't. And when he steals Finn's jacket and he's electric prodding him in the leg, he's trying so hard to be intimidating. Also, tell me you heard this. He was purring at Rey.
Yeah, I heard it.
Oh man, he's
adorable.
He's so cute. He's so cute. And just a little head bobs around the corners. Is everything okay? Nope. I'm just gonna snip back. And we got to see him a little bit of interactions with R2-D2. The amount of in this movie that was implied dialogue that we just didn't need to get. I also learned, I can't think of what the other guy's name is, but there was two people that voiced BB-8.
Oh,
Bill Hader, who was the other guy?
And Ben Schwartz.
Ben Schwartz. And I read something, I think it was Bill Hader that said it. We tried doing a voice at first, but JJ said it didn't work, so we just screwed with some app on an iPhone. That's how we ended up making BB-8's voice.
Yeah, they're credited on IMDb as voice consultant.
Voice consultant. Yeah, and I learned this 5 minutes before I watched the movie. I'm like, someone voiced BB-8? No, it's just at a thing pressing buttons. Yeah, voice consultant for. And the fact that thing's not CGI. There's points where it's CGI, because it's not Hall and Tail keeping up with Rey and Finn. without having some in sand. Like there's a little bit of that but the fact that they had this thing, they could have made it CGI, but the fact that they wanted to have a physical BB-8 just rolling around.
There were probably, I don't doubt that there's maybe like a shot or two where BB-8 is CGI for some things that are like impossible to shoot practically, but for the most part, when you see it close up, that is the real thing.
Oh yeah, it's him. I'm only thinking of like 2 scenes where I didn't think it was actually him. Like when they're running through those tents, that's the only part in the sand. That's like the only part where I'm like, I understand that little ball droid can run, but that thing is doing some really insane maneuverability through a lot of stuff that would have been really hard to do unless they took a lot of takes. Yeah, I have a good feeling that me and you are going to rant a lot in a good way. So do you want to kind of just go scene by scene for what we saw?
Sure.
Well, we already kind of discussed when the First Order came and they came and got the droid. We got to see Rey exploring and all that stuff through that Star Destroyer. Seeing her little interactions and how she's living was really good. That just shows how at heart hers being a scavenger and how she can fend for herself.
And no dialogue. It was just completely visual storytelling.
It was so good. And that jacked up alien that's the little Parsons director, she's literally scrapping to eat.
Yeah,
that was so good. And the fact, and then we did so much after that. Going into the meat of where it all starts is when Poe gets rescued by Finn. Seeing a stormtrooper defect was awesome, and that you actually got to see Gwendolyn Christie, like, you didn't kill anyone. You're in the Star Wars professional way of saying, calling Finn a pansy. Who told you to take off that helmet, soldier? And then they get in, seeing Poe's resilience towards force control, to where Kylo had to actually enforce some will upon him to get answers out of him. It's just great showing a testament of how much he wants the Resistance to do this and how just will of a human being that he is.
And even just the bromance, the instant bromance between Finn and Poe was beautiful. I forget what exactly was Finn's name. It was like FN
FN 28 something or another. It was 4 or 5 numbers. I can't remember what it was, but it was FN and then that. Oh, I just saw his computer screen light up. He's looking it up.
I need to find out exactly. Okay, it was FN 2187.
Oh, I had the 8 in there. I had
Poe's response was perfect. No, screw that. I'm calling you Finn.
I'm calling you Finn. That's horrible. And also, Finn, it's the right thing to do. You need a pilot. I need a pilot. There's no screwing around. Poe is not going to get screwed over. He knows what he's needed for, and he's like, fine, quid pro quo. I'm going to help you. You're going to help me. And that also the tow cable getting stuck and them almost not getting off. And it's just showing the great character progression of Finn barely firing a blaster to starting to shoot off all the ships and getting to see someone from the Resistance or their version of the Rebellion flying in a TIE fighter was great.
Yeah.
The fact that he's just, and he knows the intricate controls like off the back of his hand for a TIE fighter. This is this, go at the throttle's inverted, whatever. I always want to fly one of these things and then takes off right away. Oh my, just, and then it'll cut to him being back in on Jakku, with Ray, and feel free to cut in whenever you want with any thoughts you have. And I'm just trying to sequentially remember it in my head because I've never reviewed a movie 20 seconds, like a night after seeing it. I normally want to see it a couple of times before.
Yeah, especially with this movie because I have a feeling this is one of those where you can go back and watch it like a couple times and possibly gain like a different like you could learn new things like each time. Like the first time I saw it last night, I I just wanted to get like the general scope of the movie. Probably the next time I'll be looking for some of the deeper cuts like Daniel Craig's cameo appearance.
Yeah, he was the stormtrooper that Ray forced, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, also, I have to ask you, did you also notice that Mark Ellis was in this movie?
I didn't, but then someone pointed out to me.
That guy looks scarily like Mark Ellis.
Which scene was it in?
I think he was in these. I think he was in the second team of the smugglers. No, he was in the first one. The first team of smugglers that hit Chewie and Han in that T-shaped hallway. That came in.
Wait, no, I know. The shit.